Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures, where humanity always rises. Commander Relkar stood inside the alien repair bay, his four eyes fixed on the strange human who knelt beside the damaged fuse box. The air around them hummed with weak power. Sparks danced from broken wires like small angry insects. Relkar had seen many engineers work in his long military life, but none behaved like this human. Jackson, the human engineer, touched the fuse box with calm hands, almost casual, as if the broken device was a friend he already understood. The other aliens watched from a distance, whispering nervously. They feared humans, not because humans were large or strong, but because humans were unpredictable, strange, bold, sometimes even crazy. But today, Relkar would see something that shook him more than any story. Jackson opened the fuse box's metal panel and looked at the alien components inside. They were delicate, sensitive, and dangerous when unstable. Alien engineers always handled them with slow and careful motions, but Jackson only smiled and said, "Easy." Relkar tilted his head. Why was the human smiling at broken technology? Jackson pulled two wires together, twisted them, then attached a small metal piece he had taken from his own toolkit. The aliens gasped. That metal piece should not fit there. It was not alien-made. It was not compatible. But Jackson forced it in anyway, like someone building a simple toy. Relkar stepped forward, concerned. "Human, that fuse box is unstable. It could explode." Jackson shrugged. "Good. Then we know what it can really do." The commander froze. What kind of logic was this? Who wanted an explosion? Before Relkar could stop him, Jackson connected the final wire. A high-pitched sound echoed through the bay. Lights flickered. The aliens stepped back in fear. Then boom. A bright flash filled the room. Smoke burst out of the fuse box. The explosion wasn't huge, but it was violent enough that no alien engineer would have survived. Relkar covered his eyes. When the smoke cleared, he expected to see the human injured or worse. Instead, Jackson stood there calmly, brushing ash off his jacket like dust. "Nice," he said softly, as if he had just finished adjusting a light bulb. The aliens froze. This human survived the blast without fear. He didn't even look surprised. Relkar felt a strange chill crawl across his skin. He didn't understand humans. They did not respond like normal life forms. Danger made them curious. Fear made them excited. And explosions made them smile. Jackson inspected the fuse box again. It blew too fast. "Weak design," he muttered, as if insulting the work of the entire Alien Engineering Academy was normal. Relkar swallowed. "Weak. That fuse box powers half of our station. It took years to develop." Jackson didn't even look up. "Yeah, but it's still weak." Then he began searching the floor, picking up broken metal pieces and scattered parts. He worked fast, moving with the energy of a child playing a game. "What are you doing?" Relkar asked. "Building a better fuse box," Jackson replied. The commander blinked. That was impossible. Alien engineers needed special training, special tools, special materials. But Jackson simply grabbed whatever he found, scrap metal, a spare bolt, a piece of broken casing, and began shaping them together. The sound of metal hitting metal echoed through the bay. The aliens watched in silent terror. Humans should not be able to do this. They did not know alien technology. They did not even understand alien energy flow systems. Yet Jackson worked with perfect confidence, moving faster than 3 alien engineers combined. After only a short time, the human stood up and said, "Try it now." Relkar stepped forward slowly. His voice shook. "This new fuse box, will it explode?" Jackson laughed lightly. "Oh, probably not. And if it does, it will be a better explosion." The aliens flinched. Relkar wanted to refuse the test, but curiosity forced him to press the power button. The lights flickered, then glowed brighter than before. The hum of energy became smoother. The entire repair bay felt more stable. Jackson crossed his arms proudly. "See, better." Relkar could not speak for several seconds. A human had repaired an alien fuse box using garbage. A human had improved delicate alien technology in minutes. A human had survived a small explosion with a smile. Something was very wrong. Something was very dangerous. Or perhaps something was very powerful. Relkar finally whispered to his second-in-command, "If humans can do this with a fuse box, what will they do with our warship?" The words hung in the air like a cold wind. As Relkar stared at the human, he felt something he had not felt in years, fear, but also hope. Then an alarm beeped on the wall. A message came through from the communication tower. The voice said, "Commander Relkar, more humans are arriving. A full engineering team." Relkar's heart skipped. More? There were more like Jackson? The commander slowly turned toward the bay doors. They opened with a loud hiss. And there, walking confidently into the station, were 5 more humans carrying heavy toolboxes. Jackson smiled at them and said, "You're late." Relkar felt his world changing. He did not know if this was the beginning of salvation or destruction. He only knew one thing. The humans were here, and nothing would ever be the same again. Commander Relkar felt his throat tighten as the new group of humans stepped into the repair bay. The room suddenly felt smaller, as if the walls themselves leaned in to watch these strange creatures. The 5 humans walked with confidence, their heavy toolboxes hitting their legs with dull metallic thuds. They looked around the alien station with relaxed curiosity, the same way tourists might explore a peaceful museum. But this was not a museum. This was a military outpost in deep space. And these were not harmless tourists. They were humans, danger wrapped in soft skin. Jackson stepped forward to greet them, smiling like he was meeting old friends. "Glad you made it," he said. One of them, a woman with short hair and sharp eyes named Lyra, nodded and placed her toolbox on the floor with a loud bang. "Traffic in the wormhole was slow," she joked. The humans laughed at her words, but the aliens flinched. Even their jokes were bold. Relkar cleared his throat and approached slowly, choosing every step with caution. "Welcome, human engineers," he said with forced politeness. The humans smiled back, as if nothing was tense. Lyra extended her hand. Relkar stared at it for a moment before remembering the human greeting. He shook her hand carefully, afraid she might crush his bones somehow. "We're excited to help," Lyra said. Relkar didn't believe she was excited. Humans seemed excited about everything, even explosions. He took a step back and gestured to the damaged section of the station. "We have many problems," he said. "Power lines, engines, coolant systems, defense turrets." Before he could finish, another human named Brooks said, "Great. Show us everything." Relkar blinked. Everything. In one day. No alien team had ever said that. Alien engineers asked for detailed reports, diagrams, and safe working conditions. Humans only asked for one thing. Show us everything. The team split up instantly. Jackson led 2 of them toward the power cores, while Lyra and Brooks moved toward the coolant systems. They did not hesitate. They did not wait for instructions. They simply worked. Relkar followed them, too stunned to speak. He watched Lyra kneel beside a leaking coolant pipe. Alien engineers usually wore heavy suits to protect themselves from the toxic vapor. Lyra wore only a simple fabric shirt. She waved her hand through the vapor and said, "It's not that bad." The aliens whispered fearfully. She touched the coolant. One muttered, "Her skin will melt." But nothing happened. Lyra opened her toolbox and attached a strange human-made device to the pipe. It scanned the metal, hummed softly, and printed a small metal patch. She slapped the patch over the leak, pressed a button, and the patch fused with the pipe instantly. The leak stopped. It took her 7 seconds. 7. Alien engineers needed 7 hours. Relkar felt his heart pound faster. What were these humans? He left Lyra and followed Jackson. The human was crawling into a narrow power tunnel, humming a cheerful tune as if exploring a playground. Sparks shot out around him, but he ignored them. "This place is fun," he called back. "Fun?" Relkar nearly fainted. The power tunnel was considered the most dangerous part of the station. 2 alien engineers had fainted in there last year from heat overload. Yet Jackson crawled deeper, talking to himself. Who designed this wiring? It's like spaghetti cooked by someone angry. Relkar watched helplessly. Jackson reached the main power block. twisted a dial that no alien dared to touch, and suddenly the entire station vibrated. Lights flickered. Consoles beeped. Alarm lights flashed. "Human!" Relkar shouted. "What are you doing?" "Fixing your flow balance." Jackson shouted back. "Relax. Relax. Relax." The commander clutched his head. Then, suddenly, the alarm stopped. The lights grew brighter. The hum of the station became smoother and deeper. The power systems were improved. Not repaired. Improved. Jackson slid out of the tunnel with dust in his hair and a proud grin. "Much better," he said. Relkar could not argue. It was better. Somehow. Across the bay, another human named Kay was repairing the defense turret. She tapped the side of the weapon like she was checking a watermelon. Then she sighed. "This thing is slow," she said to the aliens. "It needs speed." "It needs stability," Relkar corrected carefully. "No," Kay said. "Speed." She installed a tiny human-made chip into the turret's targeting system. The turret spun so fast that several aliens dove to the ground in fear. Kay smiled proudly. "Now it's awake." Wake a weapon? Relkar felt dizzy. Everywhere he looked, humans were improving things, replacing things, testing things, fast, dangerous, fearless. It was chaos, but it was effective chaos. After an hour, the station looked cleaner, brighter, and stronger than it had in years. The humans gathered together again, wiping sweat from their faces. Jackson crossed his arms. That was a good warm-up. Warm-up? Did he call repairing an entire station a warm-up? Relkar almost fell over. He swallowed hard and asked, "What do you wish to do next?" Brooks pointed toward the Warship bay. "Well," he said with a grin, "you have a warship, right?" The room went silent. Even the machines seemed to hold their breath. Relkar stared at them with wide eyes. "You want to see the warship?" Lyra smiled. "Of course. We fixed the small stuff. Now we want the big stuff." Jackson added, "Show us what really needs help." Relkar's heart pounded. The warship was the pride of his species. A sacred machine. A weapon that only the most trained aliens could operate. Letting humans near it felt insane. But humans were already waiting, watching him, expecting an answer. Relkar hesitated. If they could repair a station in 1 hour, what would they do to a warship? He took a deep breath. "Very well," he said slowly. "Follow me." As the humans smiled and picked up their tools, Relkar whispered to his lieutenant, "If they could change our station in 1 hour, they may change our future in 1 day." And with heavy steps and a racing heart, the commander led the humans toward the warship bay, unaware that nothing after this moment would ever be the same again. Commander Relkar walked through the long metallic hallway that led to the warship bay, his steps heavy and slow. Behind him, the team of 6 humans followed like excited explorers, heading toward a treasure chest. The air grew colder as they approached the secure doors. Blue lights blinked along the walls, scanning for unauthorized life forms. The aliens in the hallway moved aside quickly when they saw the humans coming. Some lowered their heads. Some whispered in fear. Others simply stared at the humans with wide, uncertain eyes. Everyone had heard what the humans did in the repair bay. Word traveled fast. Too fast. Relkar stopped in front of the massive warship bay doors. They towered above them like a giant metal wall. The doors only opened for high-ranking officers, and only for official missions. The commander hesitated. He looked at the humans. They were smiling, calm, relaxed, as if they were about to walk into a simple workshop. Relkar felt a sting of fear. "Before we enter," he said, "you must understand this warship is the pride of my species. It is powerful, dangerous, and sacred." Lyra nodded politely. "We'll be careful." Careful? Relkar was not convinced, but it was too late now. He placed his hand on the scanner. The giant doors rumbled, grinding open slowly. White light sprayed across the floor as the warship came into view. The humans stepped forward, eyes widening. Even they seemed impressed. The warship stood in the center of the bay, like a sleeping beast. Dark metal skin, glowing blue windows, long wings fitted with weapon pods, and massive engines humming with low energy. It was beautiful, strong, and terrifying. "Whoa," Brooks whispered. Now this is a ship. Relcar felt a spark of pride, but it faded as soon as Jackson stepped forward. The human placed his hand on the warship's hull and said, "The metal is stressed. You guys overheat your engines too often." The commander's mouth dropped open. How did the human know that just by touching the ship? Lyra walked toward the weapon pods. She ran her fingers across the cannons and said, "These are good, but they aim slow. Very slow." Kay inspected the wings and shook her head. "These joints are crooked. Who built this?" "A toddler." The aliens gasped, offended. Relcar felt his chest tighten. "This warship is the result of centuries of design." "Exactly," Jackson said. "That's the problem. Too much tradition. Not enough improvement." The humans examined the ship like doctors inspecting an injured patient. They crawled under it, climbed onto it, tapped the metal, listened to vibrations, sniffed the cables, sniffed. Relcar stared in disbelief as Brooks put his nose near the fuel pipes. "Too much burn residue," he said. "You need better filtering." The aliens looked at each other in confusion. Who smelled fuel pipes? Humans, apparently. Everywhere the humans went, they muttered observations. Outdated. Weak. Messy. Slow. Every comment stabbed Relcar's pride, but he could not deny the truth. Humans noticed things alien engineers never saw. Jackson approached the central console of the warship. The glass surface lit up with alien symbols. When he touched it, Relcar panicked. "Stop. That console is connected to the ship's core. Do not touch anything." Jackson ignored him and placed both hands on the glass. The ship reacted immediately. Lights flashed. Power surged. The engines hummed loudly. The commander grabbed his head. "Human, you will destroy." But Jackson shook his head. "Relax, Commander. I'm just learning your interface." "Learning it?" Relcar gasped. "It takes our scientists 10 years to learn it." "It takes humans 15 seconds. Kay joked. The other humans laughed. And Jackson kept tapping the alien symbols as if he had used them his whole life. He opened systems he should not understand. He accessed data he should not read. The ship responded to his touch like it trusted him more than it trusted aliens. Relcar felt sweat forming on his forehead. The humans worked fast. Too fast. Brooks climbed into the exposed engine vent and shouted, "Your plasma coils are misaligned." Lyra called from the wing, "Your stabilizers are old. Replace them." Jackson said, "Your weapon targeting code is full of useless lines. Who wrote this?" Kay shouted, "Your cooling pipes are too thin. No wonder everything overheats." It was chaos. Loud, confident, unstoppable human chaos. The aliens in the bay watched in silent terror. None dared to interrupt. No one understood how humans knew so much, or why they were fearless, or why they moved like they had built a ship themselves. Then Jackson said the sentence that froze the entire room. "We can fix all of this." Relcar stepped closer. "Fix? This warship is not broken." "Exactly," Jackson replied. "That's why it needs fixing. We can make it better." Better? The commander felt dizzy. Better than the most advanced ship in their empire? Lyra climbed down from the wing and stood beside Jackson. "Commander Relcar," she said gently, "this warship is good. Very good. But with a few changes, it could be incredible." Brooks added, "Faster." Kay added, "Stronger." Jackson added, "Safer." The humans stood together, eyes bright, excitement glowing like fire. Relcar swallowed hard. He felt something rising inside his chest, fear mixed with hope. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why do you want to help us?" Jackson smiled softly. "Because we like building things." Lyra added, "And fixing things." Brooks added, "And making things better than before." Kay added, "And because it's fun." Fun? Relcar could not understand that word. Nothing about war or weapons or engines was fun to aliens. But humans were different. Completely different. Relcar looked at the warship, then at the humans. He realized a dangerous truth. If humans could fix a fuse box with scrap metal, if humans could repair a station in 1 hour, if humans could understand a warship in a few minutes, then humans were not just engineers. There was something else. Something greater. Something terrifying. Relkar finally exhaled and whispered, "Very well, humans. Show me what you can do." The humans grinned. Tools clicked open. Lights flickered. Sparks flew. And from that moment, the warship was no longer in alien hands. It was in human hands. And the galaxy itself was about to change. Commander Relkar watched helplessly as the humans spread across the warship like a swarm of determined workers. Their movements were fast, sharp, full of purpose. They moved with confidence as if they already belonged here. The commander felt like a visitor inside his own warship. Jackson stood near the central console, his hands flying across the alien symbols. The warship responded to him so smoothly that it almost felt alive, as if it welcomed human touch more than alien command. Lyra examined the wiring under the weapon systems, pulling out tangles of old cables and tossing them aside like junk. Kay crawled deep into the stabilizer chamber and shouted orders. "Brooks, hand me the clamp." "No, the bigger one." Brooks tossed tools with perfect aim, never missing, even while standing far away. Relkar could only stare. This was not repair work. This was something else. Transformation. "Human, explain your plan," he demanded, his voice shaking slightly. Jackson turned toward him with a calm smile. "It's simple, Commander. We're making your warship stronger, safer, and way faster." "Way faster," Relkar whispered. Humans spoke with such casual confidence that it frightened him. Lyra pushed a crate aside and pulled out a small human-made device with blinking blue lights. "This is a thermal regulator," she said. "Your ship overheats, so we're replacing your old system with this. It's small but powerful." Relkar stared at the device. It was no bigger than a small fruit. "That tiny thing will regulate the entire warship's heat." Lyra shrugged. "Yeah, humans like efficiency." Kay called from the stabilizer chamber, her voice echoing through metal. "Commander, your stabilizer rings are misaligned. Like badly misaligned. No wonder the ship shakes during jumps." That statement hit Relkar like a punch. "How do you know about our jump issues?" Kay snorted. "How do you not know? It's loud. I could hear it the moment we entered the bay." Relkar felt his pride shatter again. How could humans hear things their sensors didn't detect? Brooks climbed out from under the engine casing covered in dust and coolant stains. "Your plasma paths are blocked. Too narrow. We're widening them." Relkar's voice cracked. "That will take weeks." Brooks shook his head. "Hours." "Hours?" Relkar felt faint. Everywhere he looked, humans worked as if the ship were a puzzle they had solved long ago. They cut metal, rewired systems, installed new parts, and even removed old alien technology without hesitation. What shocked the commander most was how humans worked together. They understood each other without speaking, passing tools instinctively, predicting what the other needed, finishing each other's steps. This level of teamwork was rare among aliens. Humans seemed born for chaos, yet mastered it effortlessly. Relkar approached Jackson, who was now rewriting part of the warship's targeting software. "Human, you must slow down," he said weakly. "You are changing too much." Jackson didn't stop typing. "Commander, your ship needs these changes. If we don't fix everything now, it will fail later." "Fail? The warship has never failed." Relkar protested. Jackson finally paused and looked him in the eyes. His expression was not angry, but serious, deeply serious. "Commander, your enemies are advancing. You know that. And your ship, your proud warship, is strong. Yes, but it's not ready." The commander froze. Humans had discovered his fear. The threat. The danger approaching his people. Lyra joined them, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Your enemies fight dirty," she said. "We've seen their ships. They use unstable energy bursts. If you go into battle like this, you won't last." Kay added, "Your armor is good, but it's too heavy. We're replacing some of it." Brooks added, "Your power coils are outdated. You need more punch." Jackson concluded, "So we're upgrading everything. Quickly." Relkar felt like his lungs forgot how to work. How did humans know so much? How did they understand alien mechanics, alien technology, alien threats? Jackson placed a gentle hand on Relkar's shoulder. A strange gesture, but comforting somehow. "Commander," he said softly, "we want to help you. Not take anything from you. Not control you. We help because we can." Relkar had no words. He simply nodded. Jackson went back to work. Hours passed in a blur. Tools clanked. Sparks hissed. Humans shouted orders. The warship transformed piece by piece. Relkar kept walking around the bay, watching in awe. Lyra installed the thermal regulator. The ship's temperature dropped instantly. Kay realigned the stabilizers. The ship's frame stopped trembling. Brooks widened the plasma pathways. The engines roared with new power. Jackson upgraded the targeting system. The cannons moved smoothly, aiming in perfect silence. The warship felt alive, reborn, renewed. And it was humans who did it. But the most shocking moment came when Jackson climbed onto the warship's hull and shouted, "Commander, we need to test the new core flow." Relkar nearly collapsed. "Test? Now? That is dangerous." "Exactly," Jackson said, "which is why we're here." He activated the console. The warship powered up. The air vibrated. Lights blazed. The engines thundered louder than ever. The entire base shook. Aliens fled in panic, thinking the warship would explode. But Jackson stood proudly, arms crossed. "Beautiful," he whispered. The warship stabilized, humming with unmatched strength. Lyra, Kay, and Brooks joined him. They looked at their work with glowing pride. Relkar stepped forward slowly. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Humans, what have you done?" Jackson replied with a confident smile. "We upgraded your warship, Commander. Now it's ready for anything." "Anything?" Relkar asked. Jackson nodded. "Anything." The commander stared at the humans, these strange, fearless beings who repaired what others feared to touch. And he realized something powerful. Humans were not just helpers. They were a force of change, a force of creation, a force that could shape the future. As the warship hummed like a giant awakened beast, Relkar whispered to himself, "If humans can build this, then we may actually survive what is coming." The humans worked inside the warship with growing confidence, but Varric felt a strange tension building around them, like invisible pressure pressing on every wall. He watched from the command platform as the human engineering team connected new cables, replaced old conduits, and updated the ship's power systems faster than any alien crew he had ever seen. At first, this speed impressed him, but now it started to worry him. No being should learn an alien warship this quickly, he thought. Yet the humans moved like they had been born inside engine rooms. The chief engineer, Lena, stood over a glowing console with her usual calm face, but there was something different today. Her eyes moved faster, following every line of code on the screens. Her hands tapped keys with silent precision. Even the other humans kept glancing her way, as if waiting for a signal. Something is happening, Varric thought. Something they are not saying. He scanned Lena's body language, her movements, and the soft tone of her voice as she gave instructions, but nothing seemed dangerous. Still, there was a small shadow of secrecy behind everything she said, like she was hiding a piece of information. Varric decided to approach her, hoping his doubts were wrong. "Lena," he said softly, "your team works with great focus today. Is something different?" Lena looked up, smiled politely, and shook her head. "Nothing different. Just excited," she said. But Varric's species could feel a lie the way humans feel cold wind. Beneath her smile, he sensed tension, not excitement. Humans were hiding something, and it was related to the ship. He wanted to question further, but suddenly the lights dimmed for 2 seconds. The entire ship hummed with a rising low vibration. Varric froze. That vibration was not normal. It was the type of hum that happened only when a ship's core was pushed to its limit, or reconfigured. "What was that?" Varric asked sharply. Lena did not answer immediately. She looked back at the monitor, nodded to herself, and then replied in a slow voice. "A small fluctuation. Nothing dangerous." But the hesitation was too clear. Humans were not just repairing the ship, they were changing it. Varric stepped back, watching them silently. The human team continued their work, but now each move looked more purposeful, more careful, as if every cable they connected was part of a secret puzzle only they understood. His crew of aliens also noticed. Whispered voices spread through the hall. "Humans are doing something," one officer murmured. "They hide their plans," said another. A younger alien asked, "Are they turning our ship into their weapon?" The idea sent a cold shock through Varric's chest. He refused to believe it. Humans were unpredictable but honorable. Their strange fuse box trick had been terrifying, yes, but not malicious. Still, he could not ignore the fear growing in his crew. Varric raised his voice. "Everyone calm yourselves. Humans have earned trust." But even as he said it, he wasn't sure. Hours passed, and humans kept working. More panels opened. More cables were moved. More systems glowed with strange new patterns. Varric wanted to understand, so he reached for the control console, but the system denied his access with a silent red error symbol. His heart dropped. Humans had changed the security level. "Lena," he called loudly. She rushed over, looking nervous for the first time since arriving. "Why can I not access the navigation controls?" he asked. She hesitated again. "We needed temporary exclusive access. It's just for a test," she said. But Varric's voice darkened. "A test of what?" Before she could answer, the ship suddenly shifted. All engines powered on at once. The entire warship trembled under their feet. Every alien officer panicked, grabbing onto rails and shouting reports. Alarms flashed. Lights flickered. The ship was moving. Engines roared, and not a single alien had touched the controls. Only humans had access. "Lena!" Varric shouted again, this time with fear. Lena raised her hands. "Don't panic. We started a controlled system simulation. The engines are responding to the new configuration. It is safe." Safe, Varric thought. To him, it felt like the humans had taken full control. His officers looked at him with wide, terrified eyes. Some whispered, "They have taken the warship." But Varric forced himself to remain steady. Lena seemed worried too, but not because the ship was in danger. Her worry looked more like she was afraid of how the aliens would react. Varric breathed deeply. "Lena, please. Tell me everything. What are you doing to the ship?" This time, she didn't lie. She spoke slowly, carefully. "We found a weakness in your ship's core design. We are trying to fix it. But if aliens learned about this weakness, they might attack us or you. That's why we hid the process." A weakness. Varric felt shock travel through his chest. "What weakness?" he asked. Lena leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Your core can be overloaded with very little effort. One wrong input from an enemy, and the ship explodes." Varric froze. This was worse than he imagined. If true, the warship was a flying death trap. "We didn't want to hide it," Lena added. "But we didn't know how your people would react." The ship hummed again, stronger this time. A bright pulse of energy flowed through the walls, as if the warship itself was awakening to a new form. Humans were upgrading the ship. They were saving it. But why hide it? Unless someone else knew. Unless someone else was watching. Varric suddenly felt a new fear, not of the humans, but of the unknown enemy, who might be waiting for the perfect moment to trigger that weakness. The ship trembled one last time, then fell silent. Lights returned. Engines shifted into standby mode. Lena exhaled in relief. "We fixed the weakness," she whispered. But Varric could not relax. The humans had fixed the ship, but something else was coming. He could feel it like a distant storm, silent now, but moving toward them. And whatever it was, the humans might be the only ones ready for it. The ship felt strangely calm after the humans finished repairing the weakness, but Varric could sense a new type of tension forming, quiet, hidden, and heavy, like the air before a dangerous storm. Every alien officer tried to return to normal work, yet their hands shook slightly as they touched the controls, their eyes constantly drifting toward the human engineering team. Humans, on the other hand, breathed with steady confidence, moving around the engine room as if the chaos from earlier had never happened. Lena stood in the center of the room, checking readings on a handheld device, while her team made final adjustments. Varric approached her slowly, his mind full of questions that he was almost afraid to ask. "So the ship is safe now," he said. Lena nodded. "Yes, We cleaned the design flaw, reinforced the core, and added backup responses. Your ship is now stronger than before." But the moment she said those words, her device beeped sharply. A red symbol flashed across the small screen. Lena froze. Her calm expression shifted into something darker, surprise mixed with worry. Varek's heart tightened. "What is that?" he asked. Lena didn't answer immediately. She expanded the data on the screen, her fingers trembling slightly now. Her team gathered behind her, their faces turning pale. Varek felt the fear growing inside him like a fire. "Lena, what is it?" he repeated, louder this time. She finally looked up. "It's a signal." Varek frowned. "From who?" The room became silent, as if the walls themselves were listening. Lena swallowed. "Someone scanned your warship's core 30 minutes ago. Someone knew exactly when your systems were unstable." Varek felt his chest go cold. "Who would do that?" Lena shook her head. "Not humans. And not your people either. The signal origin is unknown." Unknown was the one word Varek didn't want to hear. Unknown meant danger. Unknown meant a threat they could not predict. Unknown meant something watching them. He stepped toward the nearest console and tried to scan the surrounding space. But again the ship denied his access. Humans still held the main control for the upgraded systems. Varek turned sharply. "I need access, Lena." She nodded quickly and gave her team a command. Within seconds, humans restored partial control to the alien crew. Varek finally opened the deep space scan. A wave of cold dread washed through him. "There's a disturbance," he said slowly. The scan showed ripples of energy moving across the dark space around them, faint but strange, like someone was hiding in shadow. Lena studied the data. Her face hardened. "This is not natural. Someone is watching your ship from a distance. Someone who understood the weakness before we fixed it." Varek whispered, "How?" "No one knew of the weakness until today." Lena looked at him with the same question burning in her eyes. "Unless someone found it long before you did," she said. The ship's lights flickered softly, as if responding to their fear. The alien officers whispered in confusion. Some looked ready to run. Others stared at the humans, like they were hoping for answers. The unknown signal appeared again, sharper this time. 2 short pulses, then silence. Varek felt his body tense. "What does it mean?" he asked. Lena shook her head. "I don't know, but it's deliberate." A third pulse hit the ship, louder and stronger. The floor vibrated beneath their feet. Alarm lights flashed. The ship's speakers crackled with static. Something was forcing a connection. Lena grabbed her device. "Everyone stay calm. Don't touch anything," she shouted. Her voice echoed across the room with a mix of authority and fear. Varek watched as lines of alien symbols he did not recognize crawled across the screens, moving fast, almost alive. The unknown signal wasn't scanning anymore. It was trying to talk. "Can you understand it?" Varek asked. Lena squinted at the screen. "No, the language is not human or alien code. It's something else. Something old." Old. The word filled the room with quiet terror. The ship shuddered suddenly. A deep vibration rolled through the hull, like a giant hand pressing against the outside. Every officer gasped. Varek grabbed a support rail. Lena shouted, "They're testing the shields." Without warning, a surge of energy slammed into the ship. The lights dimmed. Sparks shot from a nearby panel. The alien crew panicked, shouting status updates in frantic voices. Varek felt fear clawing inside him, but he forced himself to stay steady. "Shields holding," he shouted. "Barely," an officer replied. Lena turned to her team. "Prepare counter-response pattern. We need to mask the ship before they lock onto us again." Her team moved instantly, typing commands with lightning speed. Varek watched helplessly as new human-design patterns appeared on the screen. Complex sequences meant to hide the ship by distorting its energy signature. But before they could activate the full sequence, the unknown entity sent a final pulse. The ship jerked violently, throwing several aliens to the floor. A loud metallic scream echoed through the walls. Systems flickered. The core lights dimmed. And then silence. Complete, terrifying silence. Every sound in the ship stopped. The engines went dark. The lights froze. Even the air systems paused for 2 seconds. It was as if the ship's heart had stopped beating. Varric could barely breathe. "What happened?" he whispered. Lena stared at her device, her eyes wide with disbelief. "They didn't attack us," she said slowly. "They tagged us." "Tag," Varric repeated. "What does that mean?" Lena looked up with a cold, serious expression. "It means whoever they are, they can find us anytime they want." Varric felt the full weight of those words sink in. Humans had saved the ship from destruction, but now a new threat, a hidden, unknown, intelligent force, had found them. And it was only the beginning. The entire warship remained frozen in silence after the unknown force tagged it, and Varric felt a cold heaviness settle in his chest, something deeper than fear, something ancient. No one on the ship moved at first. Everyone stood still, waiting for the next pulse, the next shock, the next sign of attack. But nothing came. The ship stayed dark and lifeless for several long seconds before the emergency systems slowly flickered back online with dim blue light. The alien officers gasped in relief, but their breathing stayed heavy. Varric looked around, noticing the fear on every face. His people were warriors, trained for battles, but this was different. A visible enemy could be fought, but an unseen watcher that understood the ship's hidden weakness? That was something else entirely. Lena stepped closer to the main console, checking the human diagnostic device, with shaking hands. She frowned harder and harder as she studied the readings. Varric finally asked, "Tell me everything. What did they do?" Lena inhaled slowly. "They injected a marker into your ship's energy field. Something like a digital brand. They can locate us across star systems now." The alien officers broke into anxiety-filled murmurs, but Lena raised her voice, trying to calm them. "It's not a weapon. It's a signal tag. It means they're not trying to destroy you yet." Varric did not find comfort in that. "Yet is not comforting," he said. "Do you know who they are?" Lena looked at the ceiling as if searching for the right words. "There's a chance, the small chance, that we've read about them before." Varric's eyes widened. "Who?" Lena hesitated, then answered, "The Nullum." The name meant nothing to the alien crew, but to the humans, it clearly meant something terrifying. The human engineering team exchanged dark looks, their bodies tensing, their faces draining of color. Varric noticed this immediately. "What are the Nullum?" he asked sharply. Lena spoke slowly, her voice low. "They are not a species you meet. They are a species you detect seconds before you disappear. No images, no records, no survivors. Only signals. Cold, perfect signals." Varric felt a chill travel through his entire body. Humans have encountered them? Lena shook her head. Not directly. Only traces, signs, and warnings in old deep space logs. Ships vanish without damage. Stations go silent without alarms. Black boxes show strange signal patterns, similar to the one we just received. Varric tried to understand. "So they tag ships?" Lena nodded. "Yes, they tag ships they want to observe, study, or hunt later." The alien crew began to panic, but Varric slammed his hand on a console. "Enough. Panic helps no one." His voice echoed, restoring some discipline, but even he could not hide the shaking in his voice when he asked, "Can we remove the tag?" Lena took a deep breath. "No, but maybe we can hide it." She ordered her team to activate a masking sequence, one humans used to hide their ships from dangerous adversaries in the past. Her team moved quickly, setting up new code patterns, scrambling energy signatures, and deploying decoy signals. But as they worked, another pulse hit the ship. It was lighter than the earlier ones, almost gentle, like a distant knock. The lights flickered. Systems trembled. The message was clear. The Nullum knew exactly what the humans were trying to do. And they were watching. Lena clenched her jaw. "They're testing us," she whispered. "They want to see how we respond." Varric's frustration grew. "Why? What do they want?" "We don't know," Lena said. "No one ever knows. They don't communicate like normal species. They only observe and then decide." The ship's scanners suddenly displayed a faint distortion in space. It wasn't a ship or an object, just a shadow in reality, bending light around it, moving slowly, like a ghost approaching. Varric felt his bones tighten. Is that them? Lena stared at the distortion. Maybe. Or just one of their scouts. They rarely show their true forms. The shadow drifted closer, circling the warship like a predator moving around prey. The alien crew watched in horror as the distortion expanded and contracted with a pulse-like motion, as if it were breathing. Varric whispered, "This thing, it looks alive." A deep metallic hum vibrated through the ship, not from the engines, but from the distortion outside. Lena's device suddenly flashed with warnings. "It's scanning us again," she shouted. "Full spectrum scan." The alien shields flickered like dying flames. Varric's crew shouted in panic. Shields failing. Hull temperature rising. Unidentified energy entering the ship. Varric turned to Lena. "What are they doing now?" Lena's voice dropped to a whisper. "They're reading us. Every system. Every life form. Every code. They're learning everything about your ship and us." As the distortion pressed closer, the emergency lights flickered, and the ship groaned like it was being squeezed by invisible hands. Varric felt the pressure in his chest growing heavier. Then suddenly, the scanning stopped. The distortion froze in place. Everything went still, like the universe was holding its breath. Lena stared at the readings. "Something changed," she whispered. The distortion pulsated once, then again. Then, it released a final pulse into the ship. But this pulse wasn't an attack. It was a message. Lena's device translated the signal, and a single chilling line appeared on her screen. Lena's face went pale. Varric leaned over her shoulder. The message read, "We know what humans can do." Varric felt his heart drop. They had seen the fuse box trick. They had seen the upgrades. They had seen everything humans were capable of. The distortion faded into darkness, leaving only silence behind. The threat was not gone. It had simply decided something. And whatever that decision was, it would change everything. The warship bay was tense as the unknown threat faded, but the air still hummed with the memory of the distortion's pulse, like a lingering warning that refused to leave. Varric walked through the bay slowly, his multiple eyes scanning the humans as they moved with precision, almost like a machine themselves, but full of life. Lena, Jackson, Lyra, Kay, and Brooks were already coordinating the final adjustments on the engines and weapons, their confidence unshaken despite the threat lingering in deep space. Varric swallowed hard as he realized that the humans were no longer just engineers. They had become the force controlling the warship. Every system, every panel, every code sequence had been altered by human hands, optimized for speed, power, and efficiency beyond alien comprehension. The alien officers watched in silence, a mix of awe and fear spreading across their faces. "Commander," Jackson said without turning, "we need permission to run a full operational test." Varric hesitated, his hands gripping the railing of the observation platform. His species prized control, and handing command of a warship to another species was almost unthinkable. But he had seen what the humans could do. They had fixed his station, repaired the warship, and even survived encounters with forces that he could not fully comprehend. Varric knew the decision had to be made quickly, before the unknown observer returned. "You may proceed," he said finally, his voice firm but filled with anxiety. The humans nodded, moving with swift precision, entering the control stations like they owned the ship. Though Varric had given permission, they were already familiar with the interface, adjusting energy flows, recalibrating engines, and syncing weapons with movements that seemed impossible. The base shook slightly as the engines roared to life, humming louder and smoother than Varric had ever heard. Lights pulsed across the hull in rhythm with the core, like a heartbeat, and the humans coordinated each adjustment without hesitation. "Navigation ready," Lyra said. "Weapon systems online," Kay added. "Shields at maximum," Brooks reported. Jackson leaned over the central console, eyes bright, hands moving over panels with delicate precision. "All systems optimal. We're ready for the simulation," he said. Varric swallowed and stepped back, feeling his chest tighten. The humans had taken full control, and there was nothing he could do but watch. As the warship began its test maneuvers, it moved with a grace and speed that shocked everyone in the bay. The ship rotated smoothly, engines flowing perfectly, weapons responding instantly to simulated threats. Aliens gasped, muttered among themselves, and some even fell to their knees, realizing that the humans had not only repaired the warship, but enhanced it far beyond its original design. Varric felt a strange mix of pride, fear, and awe. Pride that the humans were fighting alongside them, fear that his species had lost direct control of their most powerful weapon, and awe at the brilliance and audacity of these unpredictable creatures. Then came the simulation of attack. Drones representing enemy ships were projected around the bay, moving at high speed, firing simulated energy blasts. The humans coordinated instantly, engines spinning, shields adjusting, weapons firing with perfect timing. The drones were destroyed with efficiency and precision that alien commanders could only dream of. Varric noticed the aliens whispering among themselves. "This is impossible," one muttered. "Humans, they think differently," another said. Jackson leaned back in his chair and smiled. "That's right. We don't just follow rules. We adapt." Lena added, "Predict, improve, respond." Varric realized this was not just engineering or combat skill. This was strategy, intuition, and courage combined. Humans could see solutions where aliens saw walls, opportunities where aliens saw danger. The warship's core thrummed with a steady pulse as the humans ran the final part of the simulation. They coordinated maneuvers faster than any alien command chain could react, dodging simulated attacks, predicting enemy movements, and countering them with precision. Each human action was synchronized, almost instinctive, and every alien officer in the bay was forced to accept that the humans were now the true masters of the warship. Varric took a deep breath and whispered, "They are extraordinary." Jackson noticed and looked toward him. "We're ready, Commander. You don't have to control this ship. Trust us." Varric hesitated. The instinct to retain command, to hold onto control of his most prized possession, battled with the understanding that humans were the only ones who could operate the warship at its full potential. He remembered the fuse box trick, the repair of the station, the handling of the engines, and the encounter with the unknown force. Each event proved that humans were fearless, inventive, and unmatched in adaptability. Slowly, he nodded. "Very well," he said. "You have full command of the warship. Take it where it must go." Jackson smiled, and the humans began finalizing the warship systems for launch. Engines roared louder, the hull vibrated with energy, and the bay lights pulsed faster as the ship's power systems reached full capacity. Relkar felt the ship shudder with newfound strength, as if it were alive in response to human command. The alien officers, once terrified, now looked on in awe and quiet respect. Varric's voice trembled slightly as he said, "If humans can do this, then perhaps our species has a chance to survive what is coming." Jackson turned toward him, expression serious, but calm. "We'll protect your people, Commander. We've done it before, and we'll do it again." Varric felt an unfamiliar emotion rising inside him. Gratitude, hope, and a hint of fear, because the humans were powerful, unpredictable, and completely in charge. The bay doors opened, the engines hummed with unmatched energy, and the warship slowly lifted from the dock, floating in the open space of the station like a giant predator awakened from sleep. Varric stood frozen, watching as the humans guided the warship, executing maneuvers, testing systems, and preparing for whatever threat waited beyond the stars. He realized that the warship was no longer just a weapon. It was a symbol of humans' courage, intelligence, and audacity. And as the ship drifted toward the unknown dangers ahead, Varric whispered to himself, "If these humans can take command, perhaps we stand a chance against the universe itself." The warship glided through the silent expanse of space, engines humming with a power that none of the alien officers had ever experienced, and Varric felt both awe and unease as he watched the humans at the control stations, moving with calm precision, adjusting systems, rerouting power, and monitoring every sensor. Lena stood at the navigation console, her eyes scanning the dark void for signs of the unknown force, while Jackson coordinated with Kay and Brooks on the weapons and engine systems, ensuring that everything was optimized, faster, stronger, and ready for anything. Varric's crew whispered nervously among themselves, glancing at the human team with a mixture of admiration and fear. Suddenly, the sensors detected a shadow moving at incredible speed near the edge of the warship's detection range. Lena's eyes widened as she froze for a moment, her fingers hovering over the console. "Commander," she said quietly, "we have a moving object approaching. It's not like anything recorded in the database. Its speed, it's unreal." Varek's chest tightened as he moved closer. "Show me." The display revealed a dark form, elongated and shifting, almost like liquid, moving toward them without making a sound, leaving faint ripples in space that resembled waves in a pond. It was alive, or something pretending to be alive. Kay muttered, "This must be one of the Nullum scouts." Brooks' hands tightened around a control lever, his voice trembling slightly. "It's coming closer, too close." Lena's fingers danced over the console, rerouting energy to shields and scanning systems, but the readings barely stabilized. Jackson leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "Everyone stay sharp. This is just the first test." Varek's eyes darted from the screens to the human engineers. "A test? From them?" Jackson nodded without looking up. "The Nullum test everything they consider valuable. They want to see how we react." The dark shape came closer, moving faster than any warship in Varek's fleet could possibly maneuver, approaching from a vector that suggested intelligence and strategy. It was not an attack yet, but its presence was a warning, a challenge. Lena's team worked in perfect coordination, activating the new cloaking patterns they had installed, masking energy signatures, rerouting power, and readying the weapon systems without hesitation. Varek noticed that the warship itself seemed to respond to human control, almost like it understood the urgency. Engines pulsing faster, shields shimmering stronger, and weapon systems aligning automatically to probable points of impact. The alien officers watched in disbelief as the humans executed maneuvers that no alien crew had ever attempted: evasive patterns, shield modulation, and simultaneous countermeasures. Lena finally said, "We can't stay hidden forever. They'll detect us eventually. We need to engage." Varek swallowed hard. "Engage? With what? What if we provoke them?" Jackson turned toward him, his calm gaze steady. "We don't provoke them. We show them strength. We demonstrate that we are ready. That's the only language they understand." Varek nodded slowly, realizing there was no other option. The warship's engines roared louder, and the vessel shifted into a new formation, faster than any alien fleet had ever achieved. The dark shape pulsed suddenly, and the scanners picked up a wave of energy heading toward the ship. Shields flared in response, bending and absorbing the pulse. Varek and his crew felt the vibration through their feet as the hull shook. "They're testing our defenses," Lena said. "Every pulse measures strength, reaction time, coordination, and control." The warship responded to every pulse with perfect adjustments, guided entirely by human hands. Jackson shouted, "Now counter!" and Lena activated a series of rapid energy bursts from the warship's engines, creating a ripple field that pushed the Nullum scout back slightly, forcing it to adjust its trajectory. Varek gasped, "It's working!" He realized that the humans had transformed the warship into a machine that was not only defensive but adaptive, capable of responding in ways alien technology alone could not achieve. The shadow pulsed again, moving in faster and changing patterns unpredictably. But the humans anticipated it, using evasive maneuvers and counter-energy bursts with split-second precision. Brooks adjusted the weapon's targeting system. "We can hit it if it comes any closer," he said. Kay nodded. "We are ready." Lena looked at Varek with a serious expression. "Commander, this is the moment we prove ourselves. We cannot retreat. The Nullum will remember weakness. We have to show them control and strength." Varek felt his pulse quicken. He watched as the warship and the human team moved as one, energy and weapons synchronized, shields bending and absorbing attacks, engines twisting to adjust trajectory, all under human command. The shadow moved again, faster and closer, pulsing energy in a pattern that felt deliberate, as if it were measuring fear, hesitation, and courage. Varek realized with a shock that this was not just a threat, it was intelligence. They were being evaluated. And the humans were ready. Jackson leaned over the console, eyes narrowed with focus. Prepare the main pulse disruptor. When they come closer, we fire. Timing is everything. Lena's hands hovered over the firing sequence. On my mark, she said. The alien officers watched in silent awe as humans controlled the ship with complete authority. Varric whispered to himself, if humans can do this, maybe we can survive the Nullum. The shadow moved closer, and the warship responded instantly. Shields flaring, engines pulsing, weapons aligned, and humans ready to strike. The first encounter with an enemy no one had ever faced was about to begin, and the fate of the crew, the warship, and perhaps the galaxy itself, rested entirely in human hands. The warship hummed with energy as the humans prepared for the inevitable. Every control station occupied, every system calibrated to perfection, and Varric felt a tension he had never known, his multiple eyes scanning the darkness beyond the shields for the Nullum shadow that could strike without warning. Lena's hands flew over the navigation and energy consoles, adjusting the ship's trajectory, rerouting power to shields, engines, and weapons in a seamless flow, while Jackson coordinated the firing sequences with Kay and Brooks, their movements precise and calm despite the invisible threat outside. Varric's crew whispered among themselves, glancing at the humans with awe and fear. The Nullum shadow pulsed again, larger now, moving unpredictably, bending space around it, and leaving ripples that distorted the star field. It was intelligence, strategy, and predator combined, and Varric felt his chest tighten as he realized how small his species' warships were against this force. Lena spoke calmly but firmly. They are testing patience, Commander. Every pulse, every movement is an evaluation. We must be perfect. One mistake, and they will know weakness. Varric swallowed, gripping a console. We cannot fail, he whispered. Jackson leaned forward over the central console. We won't fail. Humans do not fail because we anticipate, adapt, and act faster than fear itself. The Nullum shadow accelerated suddenly, coming closer, a swirling mass of energy that warped the light around it. The ship's sensors struggled to keep up, but the humans had anticipated this. Lena activated a series of counter-frequency shields that distorted the energy readings, masking the warship's core from detection. Engines flared as the ship shifted in 3 directions simultaneously, dodging and weaving like a predator evading another predator. Varric could hardly comprehend the speed and fluidity of the maneuvers. This is incredible, he muttered under his breath. Jackson's voice rang clear. Weapons ready. Fire at my command. Kay adjusted the targeting system, aligning the main pulse disruptor. Brooks recalibrated auxiliary cannons. Lena monitored every energy fluctuation and pulse from the Nullum, predicting patterns in its attacks and feeding real-time data to the others. The shadow pulsed once, then again, testing shields, energy output, and evasive maneuvers. Then it came closer, faster, striking at multiple points simultaneously. And for a heartbeat, Varric thought the ship might shatter. But the humans were ready. Now, Jackson shouted. Lena pressed the sequence, and the warship released a synchronized pulse from its disruptors. The energy hit the Nullum shadow directly, bending and twisting its form as if it were alive. The ship shook violently, lights flashing, systems reacting instantly, and the alien crew felt the fear and exhilaration of their first true encounter with a force beyond imagination. The Nullum recoiled slightly, then pulsed again, faster, sharper, and more precise, testing, measuring, probing every system, every reaction, and Varric realized they were learning about the humans as well, evaluating their speed, their decisions, their control. Lena adjusted the shields, engines, and weapons instantly, countering the pulse in perfect synchronization. Jackson fired another disruptor burst, and this time, the shadow twisted violently, recoiling further back into the darkness. The crew gasped, realizing that humans were not only defending, they were dominating the encounter. Varric whispered, "They are extraordinary." The warship's hull shimmered under the strain of energy pulses, but every system responded flawlessly, guided by humans who had turned fear into strategy and chaos into perfect action. Lena's eyes scanned the shadow. "Commander, we can push further. We can force it to retreat, but we must act together." Varric nodded, trusting them completely. Jackson coordinated with Kay and Brooks. Engage full operational mode. All weapons, shields, and engines linked. Maximum output. The warship roared, engines pulsing like a living heartbeat, weapon systems glowing with synchronized energy, shields bending and stretching across the hull in waves of light. The Nullum's shadow came closer one final time, moving unpredictably, testing, probing, and evaluating. But the humans had anticipated every possibility, every pattern, every strategy it could use. Lena activated a full cloaking and masking protocol simultaneously with the energy disruptors, and the warship became a blur of light and movement, almost untouchable, a machine alive under human command. The shadow pulsed violently in response, then recoiled suddenly, retreating into the void, leaving behind only faint ripples that quickly faded. The alien crew erupted into astonished whispers, some kneeling, some cheering softly, unable to comprehend how the humans had mastered the encounter. Varric stood frozen, awe and relief flooding his mind. The humans turned to him, calm but victorious. Jackson smiled. "It's done, Commander. We've neutralized the first encounter." Lena added, "They are still out there, but they know we are ready, and they will hesitate before striking again." Varric felt a new emotion, hope. For the first time, he realized that with humans, his species could survive, adapt, and perhaps even thrive in the universe against forces beyond imagination. He turned to his officers. "Look at them. The humans have taken command, and they have shown what strength truly is." The crew nodded in silence, eyes wide with respect. The warship drifted forward, engines humming with renewed power, weapon systems primed, shield strong, and the humans guiding every movement. Varric whispered to himself, "If humans can fight this, then perhaps there is no force in the universe we cannot face together." The warship soared into deep space, ready for whatever awaited them, and the humans, unpredictable, fearless, brilliant, remained at the helm, a force that could change the course of history, a force that would lead the warship and its crew into battles no alien mind could fully anticipate. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, Varric finally understood. Survival victory, and hope now rested entirely in human hands.